Hey YouTubers, so this is something that I've been kind of thinking about recently about exactly, who is it in The Walking Dead that's probably the saddest character that we've been introduced to? And I'm not talking about the comics, I'm talking solely about the television show at this point. And, that's a little bit of a hard question because we've dealt with a lot of characters who've gone through a lot of pain, suffering, and loss at this point. I mean, a couple that come to mind is especially like Rick or Carl, but we also have Carol and Daryl as well, and Sasha and everything. They made a whole lot of points to show exactly how sad and depressing these people's lives are. It's probably one of the reasons they haven't actually, even been close to being dead or killed or anything at this point, because The Walking Dead makes this particular concept about like if someone's happy, someone like, Abraham was, if he found like some sort of happiness or lingering happiness after some sort of bout of depression or something, then they get into this kind of you're going to die next state. We all know that they're going to die next because we have all these people, at least recently. You had Bob, who died recently, who was in season 5 he had Bob who died because he was actually happy. I mean, of course he was going to die, he was on the chopping block. You had Tyrese, he kind of found some semblance of happiness at the very end of his life. It just seems like a basic trope. So one of the ways that characters actually stay somewhat viable, somewhat, kill proof at this point is if they are, undoubtedly one of the, saddest or weakest characters in terms of their mental state or something. And we've seen that. We've had showrunners and everything promise us that, Carol's not going to die anytime soon because, well, she is completely like devastated at this point. The last time we saw her, she was talking about, or I don't know if they're going to show her in this week's episode. This week's probably going to be up a week after I actually make this. But, when we saw her at the Kingdom, she was, she is just completely out of it with how many people she's killed. She doesn't need to be around people because she has the urge to protect them, the same way that like her Den mothership or something is just translated into more violent urging. Like she's just more of a badass now, can protect anyone. And, one of the ones I wanted to talk about on this video, actually stop and get more into the point, is honestly, at this point, I feel like the most depressing or the saddest character in the entire series has to be Maggie Green's character. Because, I mean, think about it, guys. She just lost Glenn at the very beginning of this season, which is something that we all kind of saw coming. I'm not sure I don't know how many people saw 2 deaths coming. I'm sure some people did, but you have her character who's just lost her husband. She's pregnant. She knows that she's pregnant. She's obviously very sick at this point. But she also lost Beth last season, or season 5, not last season. But she lost her sister the season after. But before that, she also lost her father. Back in season 2, she lost everyone on the farm and almost everyone that she'd grown up with, either before season 2 or during season 2. So man, she's gone through so much. She's basically the last of her kinship. And it's hard to imagine another character that's been through just as much as she has. And a lot of people might point to me like, Mark, wait, no, you're forgetting about Sasha. Sasha's been through a whole lot too because she lost her brother, she lost Bob, she just lost Abraham and everything. And Rosita's also kind of lost Abraham at this point. Obviously, Rick and Daryl have also lost everyone who's ever been even slightly important or, even important to them. But obviously Rick still has Carl, he still has Judith. So I feel like even if he did lose like most of these people, even if he's the leader who keeps losing his people, he still has some kind of a backbone in terms of he hasn't lost most of the people who are very important to him. And Sasha, to me, I don't understand people's argument when they say Sasha and Maggie are basically on the same boat. Because yes, she did lose her brother, but I can't imagine that Bob and Abraham were just as important to her as someone like, Maggie and Glenn, or Maggie and Beth, or Maggie and Herschel, or any of those people. I cannot fathom why people think, well, Maggie and Sasha are in the same boat. They're not on the same boat to me, at least not to me, because I feel like, yeah, like I said, you have these characters kind of, they're losing the same amount of people, but the emotion and the stuff just does not add up to me. You cannot equate those people to me. So personally, like I feel, and I know if you know the comic books, you know that Maggie's character is due for a whole lot of character development this season, next season, and however long it takes her to actually get to where she needs to be. And one of the things, and we even saw it at the beginning of season 5 and through season 6, where you know, like when they got into Alexandria, she's taking on more of this leadership role when she was kind of helping. You know, kind of run the organizations and stuff in Alexandria. And now we're going to start seeing her become more of a badass. I mean, one of the things I really loved about the premiere, one of the best things about the premiere was the fact that when she came in, she was like, after basically Negan had taken Rick and broken him, he broke everyone around him. She was the only one who basically got up and said, you got to get ready, you got to go, we're going to go to war. I mean, she is filled to the brim with vengeance. She is ready to kill anyone who steps in her way. And I feel like that, to me, is something that's incredibly awesome when you think about it, because you know, everyone else is scared to death of Negan, and she just wants bloodthirst. She just wants Negan dead at this point, because he has bred this vengeance in her after what he did to Glenn, after what he did to Abraham and everyone else around him. He is just, I don't know, like I feel like what we're going to be seeing from her going forward, I hope that they not only can like adapt what happens to her character, the growth that she experiences through the comic books, but I hope they spend a lot more time with it going forward. I would be very, very disappointed if she doesn't become one of the mainstays, if not one of the bigger people in this series, like at least going forward. I know a lot of people like Michonne and a lot of people like Carol, a lot of people like Daryl, and those people are huge fan favorites. You know, if they die, we riot or anything. But I feel like by the end of this season, we need to all be on the side of Maggie, because, like I said, The Walking Dead has this kind of running kind of theme or joke or something where if you have enough bad things happen to you, if you have enough negativity, darkness around you, then you are basically kill proof. You are the saddest person, you're the strongest character in the room, and you're kill proof, and people like to start paying attention to you, and you start becoming, you know, they get more screen time, they get more badass scenes and stuff, and people start to like them a lot. So I feel like there's going to start being a huge push for her character, a huge push for everything that she's all about as she goes in to have a baby. And this is something that I think we kind of need personally, because, you know, back in season 3 we had Lori being pregnant with Judith and all things, and you know, because Lori was such kind of a hated character after season 2, and also through season 1, the whole adulterer aspect and everything with Shane just didn't really kind of play well with people, but it definitely didn't like put a really good spotlight on how strong women can be during pregnancy and everything during this particular show or this particular set of events. So I feel like this is going to help really make up for it also. You know, just seeing this pregnant woman go through and actually try to be very strong and actually rise up against everyone that she is basically in tandem with or has to deal with at this point, becomes a leader in her own right, even though all this other stuff is going down on in the background, you know, the semblance of motherhood and all this stuff that women have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and actually kind of rise up and be a strong character in the sense that like she's kind of on par with Rick or Daryl or Carol or Michonne or anyone else. I feel like that is going to be very important, something really interesting to see going forward, just in my opinion. I really just can't wait to see it. I hope that they don't necessarily drop the ball on it. I hope they start focusing very heavily on her character going forward, because as I said multiple times in this video, I feel at this point, it's undebatable that she is the darkest character in this entire show. And like I said, when you have dark characters in a show like this, they get more spotlight, they get more love, they get just a lot more attention in general, they get badass scenes, and like if anything is the comics or anything to go by, this is exactly how they're going to start developing her character. Even the showrunner said that they kind of thought that they wouldn't kill Glenn, they had other options and everything, and they just decided that in order for the story to progress as it was or it has been, they needed to kill Glenn in order to get Maggie to where she needs to be, in order for us to get to, you know, through this season to the next season and anything else in the future, because her character is so important now to the rest of the series, and I don't think the show can actually continue without her. So personally, she's death proof up until this point, and we know that she's going to become much more badass. I just can't wait to see it, and I hope all you guys are very excited to see it just like I am. And anyway, that's it for this video. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'm going to catch y'all all in the next Walking Dead video.